Welcome to your Monday morning espresso shot. We've had a serious incident in Las Vegas yesterday. Numerous people were injured. Today we will talk about that because that is actually what the topic is about. And the day before yesterday we had another incident in Edmonton. And we want to also address that today. And of course we will do our coherence building practice that will help us move closer to that heart-centeredness where we can shine the light on the victims and also witnesses and also the aggressors. Thank you. Wonderful. So let us begin now. Let us place our awareness in the area of the heart and take slow, deep breaths. And visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. Just slow, gentle breaths. And allow those breaths to flow gently, easily, and with grace. Just feel into the rhythm of this gentle, symmetrical breathing. Beautiful. Just place the awareness in the area of your heart and keep the awareness there. It will help anchor our mind so it doesn't wander off. Gentle, slow breathing pulses in and out. Beautiful. The deeper your breath, the better it is for you. And the slower the breath, the better it is for you. So very slow, very deep. Breathing in, visualizing it flowing in and out of your heart. Deep, gentle breaths. Beautiful. The heart is where the blood purifies itself and sends itself through all the cells in your body. So when you slow your heart down like this, when you take slow, deep breaths, and as you visualize these flowing in and out of your heart, you are sending a signal to your body that the most important engine in your body, the heart, is going to call the shots. It actually does call the shots, but you are aligning yourself with the heart, which then kickstarts the brain, and then it begins the healing process in your body. So you're taking the first and very important step by taking these slow, deep breaths and visualizing these breaths flowing in and out of your heart, breathing a little slower, a little deeper than normal. Beautiful. Slow, gentle, deep breaths. This is your me time. Enjoy it. Nurture your body. It has worked hard. Slow, deep breaths. Visualize these breaths flowing in and out of your heart. Wonderful. Thank you for joining me in that 5-minute quick coherence or heart-focused breathing technique. And now for the I did know that moment. Wanted to acknowledge everyone that came in and signaled to me that everything is working well. Thank you so much. And good morning to you, Sandy, as well, and Joyce, and of course, Nancy. All right, let us begin our I did know that moment. So this is the part where I say to you, if you've stopped watching the news, and I know a few people that I've come across who say that they've stopped watching the news because it's sensationalized, but it also gives you a lot of pain. And so my response to that is, what happens when you stop watching the news is you don't send your compassion to that area, which is much needed in the time of strife. So I'm going to ask you who have joined me in this coherence practice, who've been here, the veterans of this practice, all of us here, I'm asking you to start watching the news. I'm asking you to begin to send your heart compassion to the areas where there have been a lot of calamities and pain. So you can turn it off, you can turn off the bad news, or you can do something about it. And you can do something about it by just shining your heart to it. Studies have shown that when there is a focused intention, when a group of people like this, there are 16 of us on this particular broadcast today, when a group of us sit together with a focused intention and we send the waves of compassion to these areas, then this particular area begins to heal. And there have been numerous studies that have shown that to be true. So let us not turn the news off. Let us begin to actively do something about all the calamities that are happening in the world. Start watching the news. Pay attention. And the techniques you learn here, you can shield yourself from actually having to experience the anxiety, but you can also shine the anxiety forward. There are always three individuals involved in any sort of a news-breaking story, such as the one we had in Edmonton recently, where there was a terror attack by the Commonwealth Stadium, and one, of course, last night in Las Vegas, where some 500 people or so were injured in a gun attack. That was not considered a terror attack, but it is actually something that they're still trying to figure out what happened. In either case, there are three types of individuals involved here. The first type, obviously, is the victim, the one that has been aggressed against. So the victim is one that we need to send our love and shine our compassion for. The second are witnesses like us who are reading the news. We need to nurture ourselves and shine our compassion in our heart because we are witnessing something and it's painful. So that's a second type of an individual that we need to watch out for. The third type, and this is perhaps a more difficult type to send our compassion to, is the one who is the aggressor, the one who stabbed the police officer and ran over a few people in Edmonton, the one who attacked a crowd of people indiscriminately. Those individuals also are victims of some sort, and we need to equally shine our heart to them. And that is what unconditional love is about. What I'd like to do is, for the next session, we always do a quick coherence technique. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite all of us here to do a more advanced technique called the heart lock-in technique. And we're going to shine our heart to these areas, and we're going to feel better about it, and we're going to help calm down all the stresses that are happening out there. Okay, so let us begin and continue this process. Then we'll go into the Q&A, and I can answer some of the questions that are coming through. All right, so let us settle into our seats or wherever we are. If you're driving, of course, you have to keep your eyes open. We will begin with a quick coherence technique, and then I will guide you into the heart lock-in technique, which is an advanced form of technique where we can shine our heart to these troubled areas. Please place your awareness in the area of your heart and take slow, deep breaths. Visualize these breaths flowing in and out of your heart. Breathing a little gentler, a little slower, a little deeper than normal. Put a gentle smile on your face. Your smile will trigger happy hormones, which is what you need to charge up your inner engine so they can build up the compassionate field around you. And now experience a positive feeling such as compassion, gratitude, appreciation, care. Just draw that into your heart. Take slow, deep breaths. Slow, deep breaths. Visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. Beautiful. Continue to feel that appreciation, that gratitude. Bring it forward into your heart. Every cell of your body needs nourishment. We often think of nourishment as air, food, and water. But there is an important component of nourishment that your cells need. And that is compassion and joy, positive emotions. Because that, when you bathe your cell in these emotions, your cell responds by beginning the healing process. It actually activates the healing energy in your body. That healing energy that it activates, because you're showing it compassion, because you're feeling compassion, it fuels the healing energy in your body, which is not solely contained in your body, but it actually is beyond you, in a bubble, in a magnetic field bubble. And now, as we begin to experience a positive feeling of love, compassion, and appreciation, and this feeling has been registered in our magnetic field bubble that's outside of us, let us now begin to broadcast this. Let us visualize this emotion, this compassion field, just going out to the areas that are troubled, going out to the people that need this the most, the victims, the families of victims, the witnesses, and the aggressor. Beyond the veil, there's nothing but unconditional love. And if you're feeling anything less than unconditional love for everyone involved, including aggressor, you are out of alignment with Source. So bring yourself back into alignment with Source, because there's unconditional love out there. And let us shine our hearts and channel the Source energy to all who are affected by this, the victims, the witnesses, and the aggressor. And let us hope, without any attachment, let us hope and pray that all of these individuals that we're shining our hearts to receive this and accept it and draw it into their heart so they may begin the healing process immediately. Our job is mainly to shine our light and make it available. It is not to force our light down anybody, because that drops us out of vibration. Our job here on earth is to just send out our light and have it available for those who wish to reach into it. Slow, deep breaths. And experience positive emotions. Experience compassion. And broadcast this compassion out beyond you. Slow, gentle, deep breaths. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me for the 15 minutes today. I honor and appreciate your participation, and I certainly felt the energy that all of you are putting out there. So thank you so much. It's now if you have to leave, please do so. Otherwise, I'm open to Q&A here, and we can continue on this conversation on any topic that you have, if you wish to talk about it some more. All right? So I have a question already from Joyce. Joyce is asking, do you have a site or sites you can recommend for accurate news? Joyce, I don't even know if there's such a thing as accurate news. What I try to do, and I'm not being facetious by that, but every news broadcast, every news organization has a certain bias. You can see that the liberal tinge in some news broadcasters. You can see the conservative tinge in some new broadcasters. What I try to do is I go to multiple sources of news, and I basically, Google News is a subscriber, is a service, it's free. If you go to Google News, what it'll do is it'll curate all the news from everywhere, and so you can actually read about the same kind of news article from different newspapers, and then you can make up your mind which one's more accurate. All right. Normally, I prefer where they have the officials actually do a press release, I should say, press conference, because there you hear it from the horse's mouth. When you have a press conference from police officers, or the president, or the prime minister, or a minister, etc., or congressman, that is coming from the horse's mouth. There's no bias there from the news. There's probably bias there from the people speaking about it, and they can only share certain things. But I prefer looking at that. So what I would do is I would look at different news sources and take the common points from there. In either case, when you're reading the news, if you feel a sense of grief and anxiety because of the news, then do the technique we just practiced. You will get a replay of this, and you can always practice that. All right? Thank you so much for that question, Joyce. Very good question. Any other comments? You see, a light worker in today's world, if you're out there, you're a healer, or you're shining your heart, or you're trying to help somebody, cannot be one that only looks at spiritual meditations and yoga and all that stuff. A light worker in today's world needs to be up on news, needs to be up on current trends, needs to be up on what's happening with the millennials, what's happening in business, because that way you can use your talent to that extreme and shine your heart in different areas of your life. All right? So, wonderful. Joan has a comment or a question. Thank you, Shamir. I was aware this morning, it's this evening here, of the LA news, and decided to take the opportunity to do the broadcast. It felt powerful and strong. Wonderful. It does feel, the reason it feels powerful, first of all, the energies are there. And it's not only the energies. The powerful comes from the fact that you are empowered. You feel you can control this. This is something you can control. You can control your emotions. You can control sending out your light. That is a choice that you make, and you're doing that. And you allow that to flow through you. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Joan. Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right. Joyce has a comment. What comes to me is that in addition to the witnesses, which are all witnesses, I suppose would include all families and friends, and everyone who becomes aware of the incidents and reacts in fear and sees their world as unsafe. That is absolutely correct. In a situation such as Las Vegas or in Edmonton or in Europe, where we've had some terror attacks, the witnesses are the majority of the victims here, because I mean there's been, the attacks are contained in a certain area, and there are a number of them, but the witnesses are far and wide because there's the entire world listening to the news. Now the consequences, of course, are contained in the victims that are actually hurt in the incident and their immediate families. I mean, there's a higher, deeper consequence there. But really, there are, in terms of numbers, there are more witnesses as victims than there are the actual victims themselves. Good point, Joyce. Thank you. Nancy, thanks for reminding us there's something we can actively do instead of feel despair. Absolutely. And you know what? Feeling despair is also a choice. You know what? We have to recognize something, that when we feel sad or anxiety or depression or joy or compassion or happiness, those are all choices we make. Doesn't it feel empowering that we can say that these are the choices I'm making? And the whole idea about building your heart coherence is that it gives you that immediate feedback in your body saying, okay, I'm out of alignment. My heart and mind are out of alignment. Should I choose to continue to feel this way? And there's no wrong answer. You can continue to feel the pain and feel the pain. You know, one day I was asking that. I was reading the news about a police shooting that happened, an accidental shooting of a gentleman. And there was a huge amount of uproar in that community, protests and blame on both sides. And I was reading this news and I was saying to myself, I don't feel this pain. And when I was looking at some Facebook feeds that were coming through, people were just feeling frustrated, angry, and grief. And I was looking at this from a very objective perspective, maybe detached perspective, and I was looking at this and saying, I don't feel anything for the victim or their families. Am I an uncaring person? So I said to myself, I said, Spirit, let me feel some pain for that particular incident. And immediately I felt this rush of grief in my body, and I began to cry uncontrollably. See, that is a choice I made. And everyone makes a choice when they actually feel grief, when they actually feel compassion. It is a choice. It is not something that's done to you by someone else. It is something you do and you control. So practice that. Then that's why I said today, watch the news, because this is an opportunity for you to practice controlling, making a choice, not controlling, but making a choice for compassion and shining that compassion out. Everyone take care, sending you lots of heart love, and please continue to practice the heart locking technique all the time. Thank you all.